Well, hi there. It's noon, so I'll try to keep it interesting. Welcome to this, let's say, a little different speech today concerning customer obsession. What does it mean, and why is it relevant for purchasing? Because as I was in purchasing in 2017, I said, we have to be customer of choice. We, as buying people, must be the one that the supplier would like to sell to. So this is exactly what we're doing here. Just on the opposite side, I'll lead you through this today. Very happy to be in your wonderful country, wonderful seaside, wonderful conference. Thank you. So let's start off. I'm going to take you through the experience side. Let's start with sorry about this. Here, just a few numbers, just the normal stuff here. Work for Bosch Rexroth, which is a part of Bosch, which Bosch is having somewhat of a transition phase with mobility, that's clear, but Bosch Rexroth is still going strong, so pretty happy. A lot of people, a lot of R&D, and a lot of investments, as you can see. And we are playing on the very same field as Danfoss with Luca. So very happy to be here today. So enough of this. I'll take you through the experiences. Why is this important? Okay, Bosch is a name which has a brand, right? It's brand all over. It's a good one. Usually, it's a positively noted brand. This is going too fast, somehow. Then we go into the so-called user experience. This means now that we make products and we use them, and hopefully it's a great experience, right? It's a product which can be useful or good in our lives. Then we come to the third step, which is the most important one here today. It's the customer experience. What does that mean? Well, that means how you get this product out of our company. How will it be presented to you? For example, we have some power tools being made or being sold to customers. And we have a salesperson, for example, to explain the products to you. This is the real interaction with our company. And I'll lead you through this. This is something that we, or you in purchasing, are going to, let's say, I'm going to tell you that it makes a real big difference to have this customer experience also within you as a person representing your company. Why is that so important and relevant? Because you are the interaction point between your company and the supplier. The supplier has salespeople evaluating similarly to what I'm going to tell you or what I am. I mean, you're looking at me today. I have these kinds of shoes. I have some different colored socks. I have a white shirt. That's what I am. I'm representing today the Bosch, not the products, but I'm basically trying to sell you my message. That's what I'm doing. So that's the customer experience that I invite you to think about when you interact with suppliers. Of course, that leads to the point that you can be on the left side driving this wonderful luxury car when it comes to negotiation, when it comes to selling, when it comes to buying, or you can be on the right side in this Fiat 500. Not a bad car, right? But maybe not so sexy, huh? So make sure that you choose your seat before you go into an interaction with a supplier. Make sure that you are conscious of what you're trying to do there. Why? Well, because people matter. That's what it's all about. We do interactions, we do contracts, we do negotiations. And we do this because We as a person are able to actually do this interaction. That's what we are paid for. We bring organizational values. We bring our whole big company with us, smaller company, whatever it is, but we have strategies, we have personalities which are different, and we have cultures which are different. Of course, I'm the German here today, many Slovenians in the room, also an Austrian I saw this morning, and of course you're dealing with various cultures. So you have to make sure that this is conscious to you, and this is, let's say, an experience which leads you to understanding the other one just as you want to be understood. Who has not seen the iceberg model? Hands up. Okay, everyone. That's nothing new, right? Iceberg model, very simply said, is such that we have viewable on the upper side, the words, the tonality, me, I'm standing here today. And I'd like to lead you much more to the bottom part. What are the beliefs? What are the values? Look at one right here. Fears, dreams, what? And now we're in purchasing saying, I'm talking about, thinking about the dreams of the sales guy? Come on. That's what I'd like to invite you to think about. Analyze this before you actually go into your negotiation, before you actually go and talk to your supplier. Think about the bottom much more than above. And that's what we're doing in profiling in our company. We are looking at the bottom parts much more because we have all the numbers. We have the PPMs. We have the OTD. We have the sales numbers, everything. That's all done. But we're sometimes neglecting the bottom part of the iceberg just a little bit. We call it a profiling to understand how we have to use our information and our person in order to interact with our customer, or of course, purchasing side of Bosch, with our suppliers on Bosch side. Here's something more concrete for you. These are called motives. These are 10 motives of each and every one of us here today. For example, you have a power person, you have a curiosity person, you have one which really, status, performance. You have a very structured guy, person, woman, or man, or a completely unstructured person in front of you. You have hands-on people, you have more theoretical people, you have more autonomous people, and ones which like to work with the organization only, and so on. So what do? We actually go and say, let's break it down a little bit into some numbers, much easier to understand. For example, I'm the sales guy, and I would be in the status here on the scale of -5 to +5. I would be a +3. I'm looking at the buyer, and I estimate, on a scale -5 to +5, it's a -2. So there's the delta. Power, basically no delta. Curiosity, big delta. And maybe structurally, I'm completely structured, the buyer is completely unstructured, he doesn't care about the Excel bottom right number and the comma, doesn't care. Now, we have taken these numbers all together, and now we have a list of 10 of these motives, and we say we have to care about the big deltas. Why? Because in a negotiation or interaction, we're trying to get on the eye level of the other guys, persons, people, eye level. That's what really, at the end of the day, makes us interact much better. Once we have this eye level, it's much easier to talk to each other. So, for example, I'll just give you an example. I I am a sales guy going to a company with 500 people. There's a CEO. The CEO always has this black S-Class in front of the car, in front of his factory. And I negotiate with the CEO of this smaller company. And the S-Class, I always recognize being completely clean. The aluminum wheels are clean, even though it rained like yesterday evening. It rained like crazy. It's clean. So I can go in, and I could do my negotiation at 10 o'clock, and I could be finished at 12. One thing that I know now is this guy has a positive status symbol. Let's say I'm not positive on status. I'm negative on status. So usually I would not respect talking about the S-Class, right? What do I do in between to reach the eye level of the CEO? Cool car. I wish it would be as clean as mine, or mine would be as clean as yours. What does that mean? It means the CEO has received the message that I recognized his status level, which puts me, without really saying much more higher in the way of meeting the eye level of the CEO. Just little tricks like this are very interesting. Of course, you have to understand how to do it in a genuine, easy way, in such a way where you do not have to turn around 108% your personality, but you have to take the little steps like this, or I invite you, I would say, to take those little steps like this. Just one example. And then, in the preparation for the negotiation or for the meeting, we go into the Lewis model. Who has heard of the Lewis model? Hands up. 1, 2, 3, some? All right. Mr. Lewis, a very, very intelligent man from the UK, Professor Lewis, sorry. Professor Lewis was born in 1930, UK, and he visited many countries during his professional life at the university. In about 30 countries he lived and taught at the universities, and he found that there are 3 categories of cultures in this world. Let me start on the bottom left. You have the linear active guys. Those are the ones like me, right? Factual, fact-based, decisive planners, as you can see on the bottom here. On the top, you see the multi-active guys, right? The Argentinas, Mexicos, Brazil, Italy, very close to the completely red spot. Although it's blue, this is almost deep red, like Italy, very close to you here. And Croatia, of course, your neighbor. And now you're looking for Slovenia. I could tell you it's not on this pic. Yes, it is, right here. Slovenia, the second one from the bottom. So you are between, let's say, the 2 poles, multi-active and linear active, and you can see also a large difference between Croatia and Slovenia, at least according to Lewis. And then you have the reactives. Those are the cultures which are like China, Japan, you can read it. Good listeners, compromisers, and cautious. For example, taking Turkey here on this side, you can see Bulgaria, India, Saudi Arabia. Imagine negotiating with those. Maybe you've already done this. If you do, make sure that you understand what's going on and how this works, because you're going to do it very differently from what you're used to. I always tell my buyers, back when I had buyers, now my salespeople, I tell them, when we go into these things, make sure that you use the big number of people that we have within our own company to interview them just a little bit, to get acquainted with how they do the business and how they get a result out of the business. It's very simple. You just have to understand that things must change. You must be different from these Germans. You must be understanding how interaction works in these cases. What I find is when we have the normal, let's say the German buyer or the Austrian or whatever buyer, and he didn't get out of the country too much, no much interaction internationally, it's easier for him or her to deal with a smaller radius of people. Of course, you have to respect that the world also works differently. So on a nice Sunday afternoon when it's raining outside, let's say you have nothing better to do, I invite you to go into the internet and YouTube a little bit about Lewis, Mr. Lewis, the so-called Lewis model. Italy, I mean, it's hard for me to really talk about Italy much better than you know Italy, I mean, being so close to them. I'll give you a story, because of course everyone has their little stories about Italy, about making a good deal in Italy to your favor. I had the manager and the commodity buyer for steel parts, and we had to collect much more money again because we had a downturn and we had to do renegotiation another -5. Yeah. So, okay, let's go to the northern Italian suppliers. And I told them, you will take a week, you will take a car, and you will go only for food, for the lunch and for the dinner. And you will not enter the factories. Try this. Don't take your PowerPoint. Don't take your laptops with you. Don't take your numbers with you. Take you as a person with you, and go to eat in the evenings and during the day, whatever you want. They came back Monday after this week, completely happy. They said, JJ, how did this work? I mean, we sat there for 2 to 3 hours drinking wine during the day. Of course you know. And somehow, magically, we got some numbers. And they came home with a few €100,000. They were completely happy. And it was fun. So this complete different way to use this, let's say, a different structure was such that really opened the eyes of those two people. For example, another example I have for you in Hungary. Of course, you are again very close to Hungary, but I lived and worked in Hungary for power tools 3 years. So I was there as a director of purchasing at the time in the factory, and we had localized plastic parts. We had localized all kinds of things going out of the German production into the Miskolc production in Hungary. And I got a lot of good suppliers, right, who were actually really working nicely out of Hungary for the Hungarian plant. And we always tried to find, get the drawings from the German plants for plastic parts, and we always gave it to them. He always quoted around, the 75% of the German price. And we always got the quotes back of 110, 115%. Said, oh my God, how are we going to do this? And at some point, my boss told me, he said, go there, have dinner with this guy, and just socialize with him. Don't go into the factory. Just go there and build up a relationship. And I already had one. It was good. But I went there and I had dinner and I talked about Frau Merkel. I talked about university, about whatever. At some point, 10:30 in the evening, I asked him, Anton, come on. Why do you not quote your normal pricing, 75%, for the German parts? He puts down his beer and he goes, JJ, it's so simple. Those people, those Germans, don't want to do business with me. They only want to do business. And I still get shivers today with thinking about this. They don't want to do business with me, but they only want to do business. And because they only want to do business, I'm not going to do it because they don't care for me. Okay, I understand. So that was something really eye-opening as well in Hungary. Just a little example of how much you can do well and how much you can destruct by not respecting the appropriate culture and their beliefs. So this is Mr. Bosch, Robert Bosch, in 1886 actually started the company, and he basically said, I would rather lose money than trust. It must be earned, and it must be consistently proven. So this is something that within our relationships with our suppliers, with our customers, is a vast priority, of course, similar to your companies. Communication. There's a model from Paul Václavic in 1969 that you always communicate. You always communicate, meaning that you always have something to send, that you always build up a relationship no matter how minimal it is, and there's always a cause and effect to whatever you do. This means if you act the way that you want to be presented and acted with, of course, you have to respect some of these things beforehand. And coming to the negotiation, of course, there's an effective communication, eye level, empathy, flexibility, mentality, and so on. And most importantly, calibrate yourself. What does that mean? Well, having said so many things about the people and the negotiations, make sure that you take it seriously. Make sure that you appropriately apply what you've learned about this person in order to get that eye level. Keep thinking about the eye level, and you will find your way. What are the no-goes when it comes to negotiations? It's negativity, disrespect. I mean, you can read it all yourselves. You've done a lot of negotiation trainings by yourselves. I come to my very last slide already, knowledge to go. Those 3 points I would like to leave with you today. You present your company as a person. You do. The way you speak, the way you act, the way you look, the way you write your emails. You do it. And you could do it in a way which you like to be appropriately communicated with. Take a look at Lewis model when you're doing the international business. I'm quite sure that you're one of the countries where you have most international exposure. You have so many neighbors and also other countries that you work with. So you can use your Lewis model. You can use your status issues and just keep thinking about the eye level. Keep thinking about how to understand what to do. And prepare yourself much longer than you actually negotiate. We call it 70% towards 30% negotiation. Now, this presentation is not too much about negotiation, but again, it shows you that the validity of so many of these personal issues take time and takes thinking of what to do and how to do this. So, thank you very much. Open for questions.
Thank you, JJ.